Already now, there's a huge disparity between the guys that get it and the guys that don't get it. And what I mean by that is the guys that are good socially, they're good with dating, they're good with talking with people, and the guys that struggle with it or don't get it. This one's going to be a little bit more candid, a little bit more diving deep into the understanding of becoming the guy that gets it and what that concept means. Because when I first heard it, I was like, what does that mean, the guy that gets it? But throughout my journey, I've realized that not only have I become the guy that's got it, but I've been surrounding myself with other guys that get it. And when you surround yourself with other guys that get it, you can't help but win. It's almost impossible to lose. And so when people hear social circle, they think, oh, like I get to be around all these amazing women. I get to have all these opportunities. And while that is exactly correct, it's the male friendships that you make with guys that get it, that just elevate your status, elevate you as a person, and just skyrocket your life. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the time, your lifestyle, the girls that you have around you, everything it encompasses on social media, really at a fundamental level is about the guys that you get around. The guys that you be, having coffee and they drop some business knowledge, a gem on you, and you're like, wow, that just elevates your mind. I know for me, it was a guy that said, well, get out of the 9 to 5. You were once not in the 9 to 5, and now you're in the 9 to 5. You're pretty much not supposed to be there. And that was like a gem. I was like, wow. And from there, he's been my best friend ever since. And getting around these people, getting around the guys that get it will help you in every asset of your life. So what I want to do is break down a couple of different ways how the guy that gets it, because the guy that gets it becomes a natural with women, complete natural. He just understands female psychology. He understands attraction. He understands everything that the game entails. So you want to become that guy. Now, he understands how the world works. He understands a lot of dynamics that the guy that doesn't get it, he is never going to get it. And you can, as weird as this sounds, as bad as this sounds, I can look at someone and just understand if they get it or not. And that's how quick and easy this is. This is how wild this is. Like, I can literally, just by looking at them, the way they dress, their demeanor, the way they talk, what they talk about, the way they act when women are around, the way they act in high status situations, everything to a T. So it's very crucial. It's kind of like if you've ever played a sport or you've ever been really good at something. For me, it was golf. I can see the way someone picks a golf club up, if they've ever played golf or not, if they've played golf a little bit or if they're really good, just by the way they hold a golf club. They haven't even hit a golf ball, but I can just tell. And you might be good at something and you've mastered it so much that you can just tell if someone's good or on your level or better than you or someone that's not. And so this is what females are doing when they're scanning. You're thinking hypergamy, they're looking to see if you get it. If you are a guy that not only thinks he deserves a girl of her value, but actually not only internalizes that, but she's seeing if there's any cracks in your armor. So when guys hear the idea of hypergamy, like, she only goes guys that are high status and, you got to be high status. They don't understand that when you're a guy that gets it, you don't even have to try. That's your lifestyle. You don't even have to try to be high status or try to be, macho or red. It's you to a core essence. Okay. So we're going to go through because this is a big concept that you've got to get. And if you get this, all the doors open up. You're able to talk to the bouncer, talk to the security guard, talk to the manager, and get your way into access that you never had before. This is your ability to be able to attract females that you might quote are out of your league, but you've leveled yourself up in such a way that they're on your league. You might be able to get yourself in situations that you thought, man, I would never get in a room with this guy, or I used to look up to these people. And now you're on their level because you're the guy that gets it. So it's very important. It's not just like a term of like, oh yeah, the guy. Like, it's very important you understand. So we're going to go through how to become the guy that gets it and what to really focus on. There's only 3 areas that I wrote down that I think are very crucial for a guy to get. And once he gets that to a very proficient level, he is a guy on his way to becoming the guy. So the three of them, the last one's really, really crucial. The first one is extreme self-awareness. Sorry, one of my friends calling me. Extreme self-awareness. Like, again, my brother, I'm trying to do a video. See, high status friends, they need you. You're always busy. So one of the things is extreme self-awareness. What does self-awareness mean? Well, it's your visual, your feelings, your understanding, your senses of not only your environment, the social situations and the social dynamics at play, as well as just the cultural dynamics of maybe the location you're in, maybe the scenery you're in. And so I like to give this great example. One of the greatest examples that I've seen is like someone that isn't self-aware would be the guy at a funeral to pick up a phone call. The cultural dynamics or the dynamics at play is that you are trying to respect someone, that they had a great life. And the guy that picks up the phone call is telling or demonstrating to the world that his life is more important than the guy that, or the girl that is, laid to rest. So that is a situation of someone that is uncalibrated, number one, but completely unself-aware. I don't know if that's the right word, but it has no self-awareness whatsoever. They don't look around the situation and go, this is probably not a good idea to take a phone call because everyone is going, it's completely rude. It's uncalled for. I could call them back in 20 minutes, but it's going to interrupt not only me, but everybody else. So if someone was completely self-aware, they would have either already turned their phone off or they would have put it on silent. So they would have had that forethought or, that future projection that, I don't want my phone to go off because that's very rude. So that's a great example of someone. Now, you've probably been, another example, I'm going to throw some examples at you, would be, imagine you're in that Uber. You've probably been in an Uber where the driver just won't stop talking at you. You're looking down, you're looking out the window, you're trying to take a phone call or something, but the driver just keeps on yapping, yap. And you're like, brother, take a hint. I don't want to talk to you. I'm saying one word answers like, yep, nah, And so maybe you've been at the opposite end where you've been talking to a girl and she's only giving you one word answers and you've just persisted, and that's uncalibrated or lacking self-awareness. This goes to a huge level. Now, I've taught people in real life, people I've associated with, the understanding of self-awareness, and that's removing the primary consideration of you and understanding that there's other people in the world. So let's just say another example is you are with some housemates and the hand soap or the dish, the detergent or the dishwashing tablets it runs out. And you're like, oh, well, and then do nothing about it. That's an example of completely unself-aware. Someone that was self-aware would understand, there's like 4 tablets to go. I should probably get some more so that we are continuing where we don't have this period where there is none. So a lot of the time when someone is unself-aware, they don't think about anybody else, only themselves. And they're just completely unconscious. It's a great word, unconscious to the world, to the realities, even making their life hard. I've seen some guys do this repeatedly. I've seen some guys drive their car, be unself-aware, run out of gas and go, oh, that's strange. And I'm like, run out of petrol. And I'm like, yeah, that is strange. Weren't you paying attention? And they're like, oh, no, I completely forgot, haha. And it's almost done with an air of, oopsie, like, oh, well, this is kind of funny. And then it might create some crazy scenarios for you. But at the end of the day, that is a huge lack of self-awareness. This, in your general life, then bleeds into your social communication. So A great example is a guy might go, I'd like to take you on a date, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yep. So you go pick her up and get to the restaurant and they say, what's your reservation under? And the guy goes, oh, what, you have to reserve? And they're like, yes, sir, it's an exclusive restaurant. Oh, I thought you could just like walk in at the busiest time of night. So, oh, no, sir, absolutely not. Oh, okay, well, damn, oh, I don't know what to do. And so they'll get stuck like that. Or they'll be in a conversation with the girl and they just won't take any hints or won't get it. Maybe, a situation, I'm just thinking of situations that I've seen guys do where they're talking to one person and they have a friend and they completely exclude them from the conversation. Just talking at this person, question, and you can see the other person visually like frustrated that they're not included in the conversation. Or maybe you're at a party and you're talking to someone and there's more people, like you're in a group scenario and you're just talking to this person the whole time. It's lacking of self-awareness. You're not thinking yourself outside of your own body and thinking, oh, okay, like you're the classic guy, if you lack self-awareness, that needs to, he has too much selfishness and needs to be unselfish and think of others. People hear that and they're like, oh, okay. Because you can also be too self-aware where you're constantly placating to others. So there's a fine balance there. So the guys that lack self-awareness, they lack that. They've had people in their life tell them, okay, bro, you got to think about it. Like, you got to think about things, bro. Like think. You're too selfish and you need to get some self-awareness. You need to start thinking. You need to start to grow up, start to think beyond yourself. Every environment, every situation, every action that you do has a consequence and has a equal or opposite reaction. And so if you let the dishwasher tablets go, well, then you're like, oh, damn, and the dishes pile up and then you got to go to the store. Instead, you would have forethought that. And this happens within life. So it's like you're organizing an event and you're like, oh, I didn't send the address to people. Why aren't they turning up? And then you find out they didn't send the address. Oh, damn, I didn't even think about that. It's like you have that guy that's always like, I didn't even know, or I didn't even think about that. That's a guy that just doesn't get it. And so I harp on this, and you might be like, this is repetitive, but this is such a big concept because this goes beyond, this is life in general. This is a life skill. And some guys do not have it at all. I've seen it completely go. Now, the second thing is the guy that gets it, and this is with relationships specifically, understands the emotional bank account theory. And so this was displayed by an author by the name of Stephen Covey in a book, The Emotional Bank Account, he calls it. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey is the book. And he talks about that every person you come in contact with, every single person, there is an invisible bank account between you and the other person, an invisible bank account. And when you're a stranger, it starts off with $0 in the bank, okay? Now, every good interaction, every good thing that happens between you and the other person, say you remember their name, you have a good conversation, you laugh, you tell a joke, they laugh, there's layers to it. You might ask them how their day's going. And so you're stacking up these positive interactions. Think about every positive interaction or positive thing that happens as like you're both depositing dollars into the bank account. So you have this like surplus. The more and more good interactions, good experiences, the more the emotional bank account will grow. And this happens with every single person you come in contact with. Now, this is twofold to understand too, because some people, whenever you ask someone to do something else for you, you are draining the emotional bucket. Now, they might be like, oh, I don't want to do that. I never want to drain it. You do want to drain it because you can't have a relationship where you're just trying to give each other good, positive emotions. And you've done that with a relationship and you've ended up in the friend zone. You've never had a negative emotion in that relationship at all, and that hasn't got you the outcome that you wanted. So I always think of a relationship is like a tree. And the tree, in order for it to grow strong, has to withstand high winds, rain, heat, all of these things, especially high wind, for it to tell itself, we need to dive our roots really far deep or really deep in order to become the strongest, strongest version of ourselves. If you know my past history, you remember that quote, strongest version of themselves. So in a relationship, there's going to be some good and bad in there, and it deepens the friendship or the relationship. And so a lot of people, the guys that don't get it, they withdraw from the bank account when there isn't a surplus of dollars in this emotional bank account. So they'll meet someone. Think about how absurd this is. I meet someone, I'm like, "Hi Jim, how you doing? Can you help me move house tomorrow?" The guy will be like, no. Like what the actual, like completely uncalibrated. And he'd probably leave that and he would feel a bit weird about me. And if I'm like, "No, please, Jim, help me move house. Like, I know I just met you, but you need to help me move house." And he's like, "No, I don't." You would find that emotional bank account would be negative. And when an emotional bank account gets a negative, that person doesn't see you as a friend, doesn't want you in their life. You've probably had other people like this where you were really good friends with them. And then after a while, the relationship started to go downhill. They kept asking you things. Think about other things. It's not just asking. It can be they start bitching, complaining, and moaning a lot. They're just like, every conversation you have with them is negative. They're very drama-filled, very negative people. Bad things keep happening to them. You always have to help them out. They keep asking for things, and the list can go on and on and on. And so what's happening is that the emotional bank account might have been at a metaphysical number of like 100, and now it's down to like 12 and dipping hard. It's kind of like when a stock just like crumbles, right? And sometimes that happens in relationships. You might be super good friends, something bad happens, and then it goes from 100 to negative 20, and you never want to see them ever again. That can happen. The guy that gets it understands that every relationship needs to be valuable to each other. It needs to be a win-win. And so what he does is he adds a lot of value to a lot of people. So instead of a good conversation, adding dollars to the bank account, or, remembering their name or inviting them somewhere, what he does is he's consistently adding value to people's lives. So a great one that I didn't talk about was inviting them to a party or something. So he's got a life that's going on a lot of the time, these guys. And they're always trying to get everyone else to have a good time as well as them. So it's not just completely selfless. They're trying to have a good time too, but they're always trying to share the emotions. Now, if you know anything about drugs, you will understand that when you are on, MDMA or ecstasy, people's love, their emotions, their cortisol, their serotonin is peaking so much that their cup of love, or their cup of just overall good emotions is runneth over, as they say. And they just want to tell everyone they love them. They want to hug them. They want to share their love with them. This is kind of the idea that they do, but with giving a lot of value to a lot of people. Not with emotions, but value. And so they invite them to places. They check up on them. They share some memes with them. They, they talk, they hear them out. They listen to them. They try to connect them with people to increase their life. They try to help them make money. They're always trying to add value to a lot of different people in their lives. Now, they don't do this. These people don't do this with the expectation of something happening in return. They don't do this. They do it because they want to. And as a byproduct, it does come back to them. Because a lot of these people know that if you just give out things with the expectation of getting something in return, it's cheap. It's in terms of they call it Machiavellian. So doing something with the intention of something else happening. So you would see that the nice guy would be very Machiavellian. And so what that means is that he's super nice to the girl, super nice, because he wants to get in a relationship with her. So there's a hidden intention underneath. And so a lot of the time, the people that don't get it, what they do is in this emotional bucket, they're trying to give value, but they're They're wanting something in return. First of all, they don't even understand to give value. But even if they do, they want something in return. So if they lent out $1, they would want $1 back instantly. Or if they gave you a drive, like they drove you somewhere, they would want petrol money, or they would want a ride in return. And so, especially for me growing up, I always knew this concept. It never was a time period. I don't know where. I just understood. I think my family really instilled in me is like help others out, and you never know when it came back, and you never wanted it to come back because you never know. It could be 10 years in the future. Could be next week. Who knows? But it was not for that person. It was for all the other people you'll give value to. And heck, if you give a lot of value to a lot of people, you'll always have a lot of friends, and you'll always have a lot of people that want to hang out with you, because it's not a net negative on them hanging out with you. So the guy that gets it really understands this, not only with his relationships with girls, but with his friendships. With girls specifically, he understands that in order, like, a girl wants to be with him because it's a positive for her. It's a win for her. She's proud of her man, or her life gets better with him. And that might be for trips away, that might be exclusive parties, that might be fun activities. But I've even seen guys that are just working hard, and they're a good vibe to be around. And so even being positive and uplifting and fun, I think fun is a really good term, because most of these guys I see today, they don't even know what fun is. I ask them, I'm like, what's fun to you? Guys coming to SLM in the first week, I'm like, what's fun to you? And they're like, I don't even know. By the end of a couple of weeks, they know exactly how to have some fun and to draw people into their aura. But at the start, they've got no idea. They really don't. And so all of these things coupled that I've been talking about, you can now understand and kind of get a picture of the guy that gets it. He's super fun to be around. He's self-aware enough to know when he might be draining the emotional bucket or adding to the emotional bucket. He's self-aware of all the situations. So not doing anything uncalibrated, really understanding where the dynamics and the cultural kind of laws and rules are in the society that he's in. He understands how to network in terms of give value to people. And with girls, he also understands that it's also an emotional bank account. You're dealing with a girl, so adding different dollars or to the metaphysical bank account, and getting her to invest. Not just him investing, but getting her to invest dollars too. So it's a win-win. And this is the guy that gets it. So they're the first two that are really pivotal. Now you don't need thousands of rules for the guy to get it, because these go extremely deep. These are the things that I would listen myself, and I would look, and I would spend weeks of understanding this, weeks of seeing in my environment. Okay, let me look at every single person I interact with and see this emotional bank account, see this understanding of giving value to people. Interesting. Every time I remember people's names at these new cafe I go to, every time I come in with a fun attitude, I talk about different things we talked about, they seem to like me more and more and more. I seem to get free coffees. I seem to actually, they're very excited, and they're happy, and they're smiley when I come in, and they have a great time. Oh, interesting. Different. So I might spend weeks of that. The next thing, I might understand different environments. I might understand and watch people. Watching people was a big thing when I was learning, because I was just understanding when people were investing, when people weren't investing. I understand the different dynamics that are happening in a conversation. I would understand different things and understand, like, I remember one time I was looking at a cafe, and it was almost like this waiter. He knew the movements that, like, when people would move past their chair, he would already anticipate those things happening. He would move out of the way. He was carrying dishes. And I remember he could read how the cafe was, like, running like an organism 3 or 4 steps ahead of it. And he just knew the plays. He knew that, like, I remember one time he took a different entrance to get the people the food. And then right as he did that, the person, like, flicked back their chair, so it would have hit him. And I was like, man, how did he predict that? It was crazy, and because he understood it. So he had so much self-awareness in this cafe. He just knew the runs of the plays. So that's what you have to kind of be in your environment. Not to the hyper detail of that guy, but you just got to understand how your town, how your city, how the nightlife scene, how the social scene works to such a level that you can now benefit from it. You understand it to a level, and you can, run a lot of plays that are going to benefit you, like going to this place at this time, talking to these type of people, introducing this person, giving some value to them because that person knows that person, and they'll invite you to this, and you'll know people at that event. And so that's what I mean when I'm talking self-awareness, that you can use it for your social life. Now, the last one is the person, the guy that gets it, he understands human desire to a really deep level. And we call it the primary driver emotion. He understands what people want. And this is really special because the guy that gets it, he knows how to do it. He'll make it seem like he knows how to do everything to a sense. He knows how to make money. He knows how to learn skills. He just knows how to do everything. But on a real fundamental level, he knows how to read people. And you're like, how does he know how to read people? And it's not that he knows how to read them. He just knows their desires, their primary driver. What is that desire they want? So, I can look at someone and know that they want money, status, and women just instantly. That's what they want. And it's a common archetype that a lot of, if I see a 24-year-old guy fresh out of college, and depending on who he's following, I know exactly what runs through his mind and what he wants. Just by looking at, I've seen so many of them. And so, a lot of this requires you to have seen so many patterns in your life. And when you see so many patterns, you're able to recognize the pattern. It's kind of like in boxing. When you're trying to box someone, you're trying to find different patterns that they're doing. Now, as a countermeasure, people will use that. They will start to pretend to do a pattern, and then it gets you into the idea that, oh, this is the pattern they do. And then they'll completely break that pattern. And you're like, whoa, where did that come from? So, but in life, they see patterns, right? So they see, oh, all the hot girls go to this club. Interesting. I'm going to go to that club. What do all these hot girls want? They want this. I'm going to be able to try to deliver that. So for me, I went to this club over and over again. I saw all the girls were social media girls. So I started to create reels and stories, and I would tag them so that they would have content to post. I made them look good. If I made them look good in the story, they would reshare it. It would make their followers happy. So it would make them happy because at least they got content while they were working. Then they would attribute that all to me. So they'd be like, Sam is a positive in my life. Sam is a guy. And then that would open up so many doors. So I would use this. A great example that I think the whole community really loved was my idea of the Red Bull theory. And so that was the idea that whenever I would meet a manager, a host, a promoter, a security guard, I would ask them, hey, do you want something? And they said, no, I'm all good. And what I used to do was go down and get them a bunch of Red Bulls. Now, if you know anything, I know that there's two things that happens to people that work in the nightlife. They get tired because they work extremely long hours. And so I would get them a Red Bull because it would give them energy, and they would make them feel happy because now they're energized again. And who would they place all of that good emotions on? Me. That's how I got to know everybody in the nightlife really quickly, the Red Bull theory, because I found something that they wanted. They wanted energy. They couldn't go to the bar because they were working. And so I was the guy that had a look at that problem and created a solution. As a solution, they got to know me. As that, they would be ecstatic when they would see me. Now, I didn't give them a Red Bull every time, but every time I would go back, you would see that they loved me, because the good emotions were being placed on me. So I understood what their primary driver was. Now, with people that you might meet a girl and she wants to be a model. So her primary driver is that she wants to be a model. A really good understanding, and the guy that gets it would go, Victoria wants to be a model. Excuse me. Jared is a photographer of models. I should probably connect these two people together. And then you do. That's understanding people's primary driver emotion. When you understand that to a really, really, really finite level, you've seen all the patterns. You've seen what everyone really wants. It's not that much. Probably 20 to 30 things max. Not individually, but overall, there's probably 20 to 30 things. You'll start to be able to identify the archetypes, and then if you can incorporate that in your life, you're the guy that gets it. So the final one I didn't tell you guys about, the bonus one, is more social circle related, but it's becoming the guy that is a connector. Becoming the guy that knows everybody. When you're a guy that gets it, a lot of the time you're attributed with knowing a lot of people. Because I feel if you get to know a lot of people, the more, it's kind of like poker. The more hands you run in poker, the more you see patterns. The more you see patterns, the more you're able to take advantage of those patterns. Very similar. The more people you talk to, the more people you're able to, pattern recognition, identify, and the more you're able to get what you want out of social situations. And so the connector is the guy that also has a lot of connections to everything. So that could be a promoter, could be a photographer, could be a model, could be a bunch of girls, could be a limo driver, could be, just other people that are doing some cool stuff, maybe brands. It can be the guy that knows politicians, can be the guy that knows bankers, security guards, can be the guy that knows, there's so many different lawyers, doctors, everything. If you become the guy that knows that, a lot of people, and you're like, all right, I want to get to know a lot of people. And it's not too hard, really. The biggest way to do that is, this is some secret sauce from Social Life Mentoring that I'll drop here for you guys, is whenever you meet someone, you tell them, especially someone important, you'll be like, hey, I got a lot of friends that are looking for people like you. Is it okay if I recommend them to you? Am I able to take your details? And so, I want to send some people your way. And is that okay for you? And they'll be like, absolutely. Anyone loves that. Referral business. Oh, they'd absolutely love it. So you get their details. And then if you ever send them a couple of people, they will love you for it. And it's a win-win that you're one guy needs maybe a doctor, the doctor, you give them together, they have a great, professional relationship. From there, you've just become the connector. You've given value to this person, you've given value to this person, and that value is then placed on you. Fantastic. So that is the bonus one. And I think that wraps it up, those four. So to go through it again, the four that you need is massive self-awareness, completely understanding the emotional bank account, and understanding human desire, their primary driver emotion. Last one, becoming the connector. If you really run your whole life this year and understand those to a very deep level, like I told you, you will become the guy that gets it. People will start to label you as the guy that gets it. And, this may take a little while. This is not something that is quick, because there's something that you get to know something and you know the knowledge of it, but internalizing it is a different story. You want to be able to internalize this. We call it unconscious competency. So you not only know it, you don't even have to be conscious of it. So it's kind of like when you start driving, everything's new, oh my God. And then, a couple of years later, you're not even thinking. You're playing the radio, you might be vaping. Hopefully you can't, not you doing that. You might be on your phone, who knows. I don't recommend any of those things, but you get the idea. You're totally distracted and you're still driving fine, because unconscious competency is what you get. And so that's what you want to be able to do when you're meeting new people. Just unconsciously competent into inviting them somewhere, adding dollars to the bank account, being self-aware of the situation, as well as what their primary driver is, so you might be able to connect them with people. And people might think, oh, you're using people. No, you're just understanding the levels of social dynamics to a fundamental level. And the more you do this, the more you'll have some amazing connections in your life. And heck, if you want to speed run this, you want to get better, you know where I am. All you got to do is click the link below, book a call in with me and my team, and we'll be able to craft a plan for your city. And I highly recommend it. The guys in Social Life Mentoring are absolutely crushing it, especially not only with meeting new people in their city, meeting core friends, their confidants, their guys, their best friends, but some amazing women. Most of these guys are getting into relationships with girls that, 5, 6, 7 weeks before entering the program, they would have never had a chance at getting a girl like that. And they're ecstatic. I can't tell you how ecstatic they are. They're just like, man, I invested in this and I got not only the dream girl, I got the lifestyle very quickly. And it's crazy because I just, again, I did what, a lot of them do exactly what I say and they get that dream result. And so if you want that, I urge you to click the link below and get things popping. So it's Sam here, check it out. Hope you like this video. It's a bit more candid. I want to be doing a bit more of these candid videos so that you get a bit more of my personality and understand how I think, because a lot of people are saying, the way you think is a bit different, and sometimes it's tricky to get this on YouTube, and because you want to use the algorithm. But I think if you like these videos, comment down below, then you want to see some more. It's Sam here, check it out, and I'll see you in the next video.